was that line that you said that one time? We were doing a video chat and like I told some story about something just unprovoked and it was kind of out of place. And you go, "Oh, thanks, Max. That was really helpful." Something like that. It's so good.
Hello and welcome to the Bumpy Soup podcast. I am Alec. I'm joined today by Emily.
Yoo-hoo.
Shane.
What's up?
Max.
Hey.
Maddie.
Hello.
And from Salt Lake City, Patrick.
Hey, that's me.
It is him.
Hey.
We have more people here than last time. So this might get a little chaotic.
The more the merrier.
But I think
That's what I say.
I hope the chaos is a bit of our voodoo. So part of it.
Voodoo?
Our juju.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, hang on.
That's
Did
getting
you
close.
just say what I think you said?
Voodoo Mama Juju.
No, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you think I said?
Did you just say... Never mind.
Okay. How's everyone doing?
A people so nice
Good.
they named it twice.
Yeah.
I'm doing A-OK.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm excited to be. This is my first time guesting on a podcast.
Yeah, we should do some little introductions. So Shane is our camera guy DP, who did all of the camera guy DP stuff.
Yeah.
Camera guy, double penetration.
Exactly. Yeah. On the Good Show things. He's also a friend going way back with music. We've all been in bands together and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think
I've known Shane since preschool.
it's fucking forever.
Oh
It's
my
so
God.
crazy.
They were in an air guitar band together.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not only that, we fucking
crushed that shit.
Yeah, we won a lot.
That's right.
It was not even close.
Wasn't that on ESPN8 The Ocho recently?
Yeah.
An
I
air
remember
guitar
watching that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Shane, we need a Canadians revival for the Ocho, dude.
Yeah, let's get started on it.
I don't think that's anything that us as non-Canadians can really decide.
Huh.
I'm 50%.
Wait, Canadians was the name of your band? Is that?
Yeah, okay, so we had two other names that they wouldn't let us use. Do you remember what those were, Shane?
No, man. I feel like shit like that, I will never remember because it just wasn't even a thought that I actually had. It just fell out of my mouth, whatever it was. So I have no idea what it is.
Okay, well, I remember.
Great.
So the first name that we wanted to use was Al-Qaeda on Demand.
Fuck.
Oh my
I
God.
can't believe that was a suggestion. We were 14?
That was your idea,
Yeah.
dude.
That's so fucking sick. I can't
Al-Qaeda
believe
on demand watch
I
so
can't-
Andrew Jackson Jihad could run.
I cannot believe that was a suggestion that I had. That fucking rocks.
Yeah, you've been putting out bangers consistently for a really long time.
What was the other one?
The second one was your mom's idea. She thought it was cute if we called ourselves the F Bombers.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
They wouldn't let us do that either, so we settled for the Canadians, which I feel like is still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
A little bit more
offensive.
crass.
Yeah. It kind of rides that line still, which is cool, I guess.
Neoliberals.
Now that you
Yeah.
said it, Al-Qaeda on Demand, I do remember that. And I remember feeling really good about it. I mean,
It's
that's
really good.
It's a statement.
It's
man.
fucking hilarious.
Patrick, you have a steel trap memory.
Yeah,
You
with,
really
with,
do.
With some things I
where
really
does that
do.
come from? How do you do it?
I have this weird thing where I've had this forever where I kind of just repeat things to myself, like either things that I just said or things that people say.
Sure.
And like Dej will call me out on it all the time after I finish saying. I'll kind of say it to myself again, like after I finish saying.
Nice.
You ever watch The Middle?
I was just thinking that.
No.
So it's a character named Brick, and that's his whole thing. That's his bit in the show throughout is that he'll say something and then he'll just put his head into his chest and slowly whisper, if he said Al-Qaeda on Demand, he would then say on demand. So you're kind of like that.
Is that what you do, Patrick?
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty much. I just say things back to myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a condition or what the fuck it is. It's just something I've always done. But I feel like that plays into it.
I figured it was a part of your experience at Caption Call.
No, I've so you No, so the reason why I was such a fucking star employee at Caption Call is
Right.
because I already had that weird thing going on. It predates Caption Call. I've had that for fucking ever.
You just got put on a phone, like you were already just gonna repeat whatever someone said, but
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
It just came so easily.
That's funny, man.
So I realized that also wanted to introduce Maddie. Maddie is has done our sound on Good Show, and also has been in the writers' room, breaking stories, doing stuff like that.
Breaking stories.
And fucking
Also doing some
makeup,
fire
too.
makeup.
Yo, yeah, for sure.
Coming
yeah,
up with
man.
awesome ideas on set, like while we're like finding.
She
a
came up with
scene.
The double.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
double dip.
I came on just to be complimented.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're killing it then. At this point.
Do you have any other ideas that you think are particularly good that you've contributed?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, we'll
There
catch
are
back
more.
on this.
There are more.
I've got a few in my head.
Well,
but-
then I think we should consult Patrick since he knows and remembers.
Patrick.
everything.
Have you guys
Name
seen
every
Dune?
funny thing
Have
I've
you seen
done.
Dune and the guy who just like rolls his eyes back and like computes something and then spits it out?
Yeah.
That's like Patrick, except for memory.
Patrick, you're the guy in Dune.
In Dune?
The
The
guy.
mentat in Dune, the guy who rolls his eyes back and like really quickly calculates like how much it's going to cost him to, travel across and then does it. You've seen the movie, right?
I mean, yeah, I watched it. I don't remember that much from it. I feel like I remember a few things. To be honest, like I liked it, but it wasn't extremely memorable. It kind of just felt like a whole movie's worth of setup for part 2, which it kind of is.
Yeah, I think so.
They were
fun
really
hot
teasing
take.
Zendaya hard, and she like hardly showed up in the storyline other than like little forward flashes, premonitions.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dune, so I'm not disagreeing with this, but I'd love to hear Patrick's take after seeing Fellowship of the Ring in theaters for the first time.
I didn't see Fellowship of
No,
the
I
Ring
mean
in the
just
theaters.
because it's obviously a primer. It's fine. It's because it's part of a trilogy.
Yeah. No, okay. Fellowship of the Ring is the best of the trilogy.
I've heard that. I don't really
No.
understand how.
I believe it. And I don't think that other opinions on that are wrong. I just happen to like that one, and it might have just been where I was at the time that I saw it. But it has the most like magic to it. It has the most like adventure and that.
I'm gonna say two things. The March of the Ents, number one, and then I'm not gonna say this because I can't remember what it is. What do they yell when they're hitting the? Is it Minas Tirith in the third one? Then they're like, they have the big wolf, and they're like, Grog, Grog, or whatever it is. That
It was a grog chant for sure.
yeah. Like what?
Grog.
I don't know. I don't think one has anything that matches up to those two scenes individually. Like that just make the movies better to me.
I
don't know.
think that that one has just like it has a more contained story to it. It shows like them coming together and then breaking apart the Fellowship. It shows Gandalf going through that. It has the fucking scene right at the like kind of near the beginning where the hobbits all are running and then they hide underneath that root while the
That is so fucking iconic.
yeah,
dude.
that's an amazing scene.
So
Yeah.
I watched all of them. Don't remember anything except for that scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was like fucking
Iconic,
burned into my brain.
Creepy crawly.
It's so fucking just like ugh.
Also from
Yeah.
that one, is it when Boromir dies? That's like,
Yeah.
I remember
sure.
after I had seen that, I watched 2 and 3 a lot. I really liked those two ones, and I hadn't watched the first one. I kind of thought that was like a scene that I'd made up in my head, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, that is so intense. It's really good.
Watching it again, actually the relationship between Boromir and Aragorn is really interesting. It's really cool. It's like developed. Like you can see that Boromir is like part of basically a fallen nation and like wants to bring honor back to it. And so that's why he's like kind of obsessed with the ring, the idea of like bringing honor and glory back to his, where he's from. And Aragorn's just kind of,
Yeah.
cool guy.
So Alec, I know you said that you watched them all recently, but you said you watched the theatrical versions. Have you seen the extended versions before?
I think I have. I think I've actually seen the extended of, the Return of the King more, but I don't remember them enough. It would have been so long ago that.
No better time to watch the extended version than the holiday season.
Yeah.
The extended versions have a really good, several really good scenes between Boromir and Aragorn that they like build Boromir as a character more, and they show more of that side of him, because I feel like in the theatrical version he really comes off as kind of a dick. Like he's not near as sympathetic in the theatrical version. But with the scenes that got cut from him, you really do grasp that immediately, that like he's put in this really hard situation by his dad for his country to like try to get this weapon for them. And he kind of knows that it's fucked up, but like he feels like he's just being pressured into doing it. And it makes him just like he's honestly one of my favorite characters in the whole story. Like he's just so torn constantly. And fucking Sean Bean honestly nails it. Like that guy is so good at playing medieval dudes who eventually get murdered. Yeah. Like that's like he was born to die in 1400. That is what Sean Bean exists for.
He had like a quote where he said that, right? Where he's like, I always die or something like that. I don't know. He like makes fun of himself for that. But he's really
I don't think he's ever had a single role where he doesn't die. That's like his weird
He's got
thing.
one of those killable faces.
Not punchable, but killable.
Oh, fuck. You guys, I just remembered that it is 60 seconds of soccer with Supreme.
Oh.
Hey, Google, set timer for 60 seconds.
Time for Supreme 60 seconds of soccer.
Okay, let's go. So first off, Real Salt Lake changed the name of your stadium. Now on to actual soccer. On Sunday, Argentina won the World Cup final versus France in the best World Cup final of all time. It ended 3-3 with Argentina winning 4-2 on penalties. Di Maria scored the prettiest counterattacking goal of all time, maybe the prettiest goal of all time. That shit was insane. In the 36th minute, Messi got a brace with a penalty. Mbappe got a hat trick with 2 penalties. And then they went to penalties. Mbappe and Messi both scored their penalties again. So honestly, I kind of think this shit was rigged. It was one of the best games ever, but it was a little bit too good. Like every single possible storyline that could have happened did happen, which it's a little bit too amazing for me. Also with PSG, employing both Mbappe and Messi, it makes sense that they'd want them in the final in Qatar. Anyways, okay, back to real soccer. The Premier League. Fulham plays Crystal Palace on Boxing Day. Mitrovic just got back from the World Cup where he scored I think 2 goals. Didn't do too good last time.
60 seconds over.
You're done. You're done.
Okay. All right.
So,
Stop.
Amazing timing. Oh, come on, man. It's my mommy. Sorry, Mom. So what do you think the over-under was on Elon Musk going up with the Saudis?
And fucking Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they're
You guys
gonna
are going
be
to have to
there.
catch me up. Like, what's going on with that?
That's it.
There's
he was
a
hanging.
photo on Twitter
Elon
that
Musk was there
surfaced.
with the Saudis.
He just showed up.
I mean, you'd expect the richest man in the world to go to the World Cup, right? But like, yeah, he was hanging. Yeah. Anyways,
Okay.
I don't know. It
Okay.
wasn't. I just saw Elon
I don't know
Musk.
about the company, but I'm not surprised either.
Well, he got voted off of.
He's
being
on a
the
very
CEO
short
of
bill
Twitter
and
now.
pipeline. Like the shortest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name from Incredibles? That's exactly how I see
Oh my
him.
god.
Patrick, what's the guy's name from Incredibles? The villain.
Syndrome.
Syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, there
It's
we
like,
go.
oh, you guys don't think I'm funny? We'll see who's funny, and then.
Oh my god.
Okay, so predictions: Fulham versus Crystal Palace on Boxing Day. Maddie,
2-1 Fulham.
Shane.
I don't know, but I am really interested in getting into sports betting, so I might just throw out something.
Let's hear it.
I like Maddie's. 2-1 sounds good.
2-1 to Fulham.
Sure.
2-5 Crystal.
Okay.
Wait, I like that one more. Never mind.
Wait. Okay. 2-5. Okay. All right, Emily.
I like crystals. So 4 Crystal, 2 Fulham, 0 me.
Okay.
Yep.
Alec. Wait. You said. Wait, Patrick. What do you think?
So someone on Fulham is going to break their leg. The manager is going to throw up on the pitch. They're going to bring in Maradona, and they're still going to lose by 10.
Wait. So what's the final score?
If any one of those things happen, It'll be.
I'm a
blessing.
fucking genius, dude.
Yeah.
What's the final score?
The final score is 13-3.
Man, that is
A
so
man that's
rude.
good at remembering the past, but
Firstly, Maradona is not alive anymore, so I highly doubt that's happening. If that happens,
If he comes on the field,
yeah,
like, that's gonna be
at Fulham
crazy.
too.
Just
Yeah, okay.
watch.
Just
Watch. Remember this day. Remember that I said that, and then you can thank me.
yeah. If it happens, I will thank you. I'm gonna say 2-2 draw. Okay, that's it for predictions.
Nice. Were any of us right last time?
I don't remember because we don't have the audio.
Who won between France and Argentina?
Argentina.
it was 3-3 overtime, right? Or
Yeah, 3-3,
penalties?
and then in penalties, Argentina won.
That's crazy.
I believe Patrick, you said he guessed 5-3 last time, so I think he was the only one who, because I know.
Yeah, but if we're going Price is Right rules, he blew it.
Yeah.
I said 3-2 France.
So that
Yeah.
Alec then. There you go.
Alec. Yeah.
I win. I lost, but I still won.
Argentina.
That's kind of what soccer is.
The soccer team, Argentina.
All right now.
Makes me think of this dude that I briefly dated as soon as I moved to my new city when I was 17, I think. And pathological liar told me that he was like 3 years younger than he actually was because he was ashamed he didn't get married immediately upon returning home from his mission in Argentina.
Okay.
Obsessed with Argentinian culture, obsessed with their soccer team. Also lied to me about him running into Jason Mraz on a beach in Hawaii. Like this dude, Aaron, I
Why
hope
would
you
pick
got
Jason
some help.
Mraz?
Wait, tell me. How did you find out that he was lying?
He admitted it to me later on. It was
Oh,
like
what a
an
pussy.
eyebrow raising moment. I was like, oh.
What if he lied about that too?
It's just not going to work
Doubt your
out.
doubts before you doubt your.
Yeah, he's out here playing 4D chess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What-
that's called
what-
gaslighting.
Did he come up with that? And then it was
Yeah.
like eating him up inside until the next time he saw you, and he's just like, I have to tell you.
I don't know.
didn't see
He maybe
Jason
like
Mraz.
talked to his.
I just wanted you to think I was cool.
You know what? I think I like talked about his age in front of his friends, and it was awkward.
Right.
And
Ooh.
then maybe he felt pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a way like lamer Jason to run into, and like that's who it was, but didn't want to say that. But I can't think of any lame Jasons.
Jason Derulo.
Yeah, but I don't know if that. I feel like that. Like,
He fell down the stairs. You got clout. You know?
well, you think of just like the Jason Derulo, just like that.
Okay, well,
As a bit.
name every Jason you can think of. Jason Bourne.
Bateman.
Sudeikis.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Siegel.
Wow, their names are Jason, aren't they?
Yeah.
They don't seem like they should be
Okay,
named
so
Jason.
Jason
a good one
Voorhees.
would have been if he said he ran into Jason Bourne and you think it's Matt Damon, but it was actually Jeremy Renner. That would have been
That's a
that
good
would be
bit.
pretty bad.
That's good. Yeah.
You said Jeremy Renner, but like Mark Wahlberg is who I always, or Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon. There's one other one. They have that.
Leonardo
accent.
DiCaprio.
No.
Yeah, that's The
but,
Departed.
That's The Departed.
James Corden. I thought that's what you said. That's not the answer.
Yeah, always mixing those dudes up.
Oh man.
There's a Jason in like a horror film, right?
Voorhees.
Jason
Freddy and
Voorhees,
Jason.
Oh, yeah,
I said that
Voorhees.
Probably
Oh.
37 seconds ago,
Oops.
but it's okay.
Oops.
Roll back the tape. How long ago was that?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking
She
at
said
the
it
audio
louder.
peaks right now. I'm pretty sure that's where it was because I've been pretty quiet. What's your favorite Jason?
Well, I forgot, but like Bateman.
Oh,
I forgot.
yeah.
Again, Jason is too cool of a name for Bateman or Sudeikis to have.
Well, it's
Sudeikis.
weird, right, with
Sudeikis.
celebrities because you get their last names and their first name. It's one thing, and when you start thinking about like, wait, their first name is Jason. Like,
Yeah,
that's what their friends
It's,
call them.
it's,
Oh my
it's
god.
like Lil Wayne.
It's called
His name is Wayne.
I'm pretty sure. So both Lil Wayne
Yeah.
and Jay-Z call themselves Mr. Carter, and I think both of their names is Sean Carter, if I'm not wrong.
I don't know, but I know that Lil Wayne is The Carter with an A.
Yeah, well, that's his albums. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Lil Wayne's name is Dwayne. I'm almost entirely
Yeah, I think
positive.
You're right about that.
Dwayne
which is
Wade.
way. Is that worse or better?
Dwayne Wayne.
Dwayne is really close to dweeb, but
It
Dwayne
also
Wade
sounds.
is
It sounds like you
sick.
just have like a Runalds, right? And you're trying to talk about like, oh, my Dwayne's clogged. My Dwayne's clogged. The Dwayne Gutto.
The Rock clogged my Dwayne. Dwayne the Rock.
Dwayne the Walk.
Out of my Dwayne.
Yeah.
There's
The
a
Rock's
walk
name
in
is
my
too.
Dwayne.
Maybe Dwayne's a sick name actually. Has a W in it.
I mean, it's
Dwayne
kind of
Gang.
1 and 1. At this
Name
point,
one
right?
other word that has DW.
Dwight.
Dwight. Yeah.
Arthur.
Word.
Sister.
Can't use names.
Dwemer.
Dishwasher.
Oh yeah, there goes.
Dwayne's a name.
Yeah. I'm on the
it
Skyrim
Dwemer or
shit.
Dwemer?
Dwemer.
Well,
I think it's Dwemer.
I've always
but
said Dwemer too.
if it was Dwemer,
It's definitely
that would
Dwemer.
be really lame.
Skid
Sorry.
Woe.
Nice.
It is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like the Eric Andre American Dream sort of thing.
Dwell.
right?
Dwell.
Can't spell the
fuck.
American
You're right,
Dream
yep.
without Eric Andre.
Oh, Dwell. That's probably the best one. Yeah, Dwagon. Doesn't really.
Wagon.
Dwelling Dwagon.
Yeah, no, I think Dwell's probably it.
You're right.
Do you think there's a Skyrim mod that makes everybody say Dwagon?
Dwagon.
There's
Oh
gotta
my
be, man. I
God.
think just purely.
There's-
wanna
there's
do
gotta
that.
be.
Well, time out. Do they have it so they re-record every single vocal for just Dwagon, or do they have like an AI go through and just like tweak the R to be a W?
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if both versions exist, and
Sure.
also another third option that is neither.
Yeah,
That it doesn't
Yeah.
exist?
that it's not either of those things.
No, that it's neither of those things, but it still accomplishes the same goal.
How?
That's the whole fucking joke, dude. I don't fucking know.
Go to bed.
Okay. This
Go to
conversation's been ended by
Go to bed.
Daisy. Daisy
We're
the
done,
dog.
Daisy. It's okay. Daisy's our dog.
Can we give her a microphone?
Yeah.
Daisy, do you want a microphone?
Sure, we can hear her just
Daisy can
fine.
go.
Daisy, what are your predictions on Fulham versus Crystal Palace?
She said Fulham, by the way, just so everyone knows, because she's a real one.
No.
Yeah, she's about to knock over this Moscow Mule.
Yeah,
Let's see
I've
it.
seen this happen.
Last time she got up on the couch, if you listen to it, you'll hear me. I'll in the middle of talking, I'm like, Daisy, get out of here. But she just listened.
So smart.
She's a
so
good
beauty.
pud. Good pud.
Hey, so do you guys want to talk about the watch of the week?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do
Yeah.
All right.
Whoa, watch of the week.
Whoa, watch.
We should get an actual theme song.
There it is, buddy.
No, I've been thinking like we need to get a soundboard, especially for like Supreme.
Yeah.
Six, you know.
I think that's
Also, I
probably
think
my
it'd be
job.
funny
I'm
to
saying
throw it in
I'm saying a
there.
MIDI board, right? That you
Yeah.
like hit and has it. Yeah. Okay, so today's watch, this week's watch of the week is "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" season 2, episode 3. Dennis and Dee go on welfare. Basic premise of this is that Dennis and Dee go on welfare.
Wow.
What do you guys think? What are some like kind of initial thoughts on the episode?
I would love to go first.
Go ahead.
So I don't really watch that show very much, and so it's kind of fun to like go into watching it solely for the intention of like talking about it, right? And I always forget how fucking old that show is, right? You watch
Yeah.
it and immediately it's dated. You look at the quality of the video, the camera that it was shot on. It's like, oh, this is exactly. I know exactly the time that this was shot, when this was created.
That was still poor quality even at that time, though.
Right.
This was season
Yeah,
2,
right.
episode 3.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
2006.
Right.
On the lowest funded FX series in history.
Right. Yeah. And I think that so that was like kind of the first thing that stood out. But I also think that it's really funny. If it is poor quality, it is definitely high writing, quality
Yeah.
writing, right? I don't know. I thought it's kind of interesting, like the duality of like kind of how you see the reward system go, right? So like the other two stayed and then they got a bunch of money, even if they technically stole it,
Yeah.
right? And the other two bail, they're gonna go on welfare, get a bunch of money,
Yeah.
and then like also blow it
Yeah.
at the exact same time, right? Just in like a kind of a different way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it is funny that you have like two separate scenarios essentially end the exact same.
Yep.
Um,
Oh yeah. Like.
I thought
Go ahead, Patrick.
it was interesting that Mac has that whole speech to Dennis and Dee about not abusing welfare
Yeah.
and how it's there to help people. It like really goes against his later character development of being really like conservative. He's like actually kind of defending the welfare program and saying that it's there for a reason.
Right.
And I mean, I guess it also kind of fits, like, you know, they do get mad when people like abuse the welfare thing.
Yeah.
But I did think that was kind of an interesting thing to see Mac being the one making that point.
Yeah. Well, Mac was also in a car full of women, and he's actually gay. So.
Yeah, one thing that I think just in general about Sunny that's pretty interesting that I didn't really notice until Maddie pointed at me was that like, so they talk about like current events a lot, and like everyone who writes the show is very liberal. You can tell. Like Danny DeVito tweets about stuff all the time. You know, like they're very, very liberal, and so like they're trying to get the point across that their characters are stupid, so they're trying to show them as stupid. And so I think that like, especially before they established Mac of being super conservative, like, and they just use him as a tool to show he's like, I think later on in the seasons, Dennis, like I think a lot of the times ends up being the one who is correct when they're talking about something political, it seems like, because they show everyone else as the conservative one. Anyways.
Yeah, and I don't know if Mac is completely conservative. He's really religious.
Yeah.
And
Hand in
he's
hand.
almost, but not exactly. And I think like in his case, it's not like a total 1-to-1. Like, but he definitely like still takes certain those conservative values, and that becomes a stronger thing later on in the series for sure.
Something I appreciate about this episode is the mocking that happens.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple times near the beginning of the episode where Dennis and Dee are like, "Oh, you
My dad's in
to Mac and
prison. My
Charlie.
dad went to prison for
Legendary.
And then
moment.
like it comes back around to them at the end.
Like, oh, you got addicted to crack.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to like fight back by like pulling their hands up like, oh, but they're just pathetic.
Oh, the makeup for when they're cracked up.
Yeah.
Actually
cracked
really
out.
So good. It gets better
So
and better.
fucking good.
So you mentioning that like that crying scene is interesting. Like it just made me think because that one has been like turned into a meme. Like you'll see that online reacting to things. Are there any other It's Always Sunny moments that have been?
Oh my God, Pepe Sylvia.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Like, that's the main one, I think.
Rumham,
I don't.
Dayman.
Yeah, Dayman. Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't sound correct to me, but I don't know enough about stars to refute that.
Yeah.
Gavels.
Yeah. The what is it?
Isn't and anyway, I just started blasting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's true.
Yeah.
There are so many.
Sometimes science. Yeah.
It's also hard for me because there's so many lines that stand out to me personally that, you know, maybe have been used in the internet, and like I don't know how popular they've been kind of spread out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like something about like on coming down and handing out life lessons, and he's like in the wheelchair, which is in the episode a couple before. But there's different quotes like that. I mean, the entire series is so fucking quotable, especially these early episodes.
This was Danny's first season on the show.
It
Right.
was.
Wait,
And so he's like they're kind of establishing his character in this one still.
Yes.
Is this the one where he's like wanting to play ball?
Yeah. So this is
He's wanting to like be their dad.
Yeah, this is the third episode, and like, so in the beginning of the season, he just like shows up, and then he's like trying to integrate himself into the group, and then I don't know if he's actually, he has bought the bar at this point, which is why he's like pushing Mac and Charlie around, and is trying to push Dennis and Dee around, but they're like, we're not going to do it, and that's how it like kind of splinters off. And actually, what's his name? Danny has a really good the kind of storyline going on of trying to be the father, and then it coming back to the end, and they're like, and he's like, because children, you are crackheads.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And he makes Mac the manager because he showed so much initiative in
Charlie.
stealing the money. Or Charlie,
Yeah.
Charlie.
It's cool seeing like Frank's storyline, like with him at this point trying to be a father figure,
Trying to be a good person,
and
yeah.
then like going all the way to like season 13, I think, when Mac finds his pride and he actually like is there as a father
That's a
figure.
really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just ended up being a natural, unforced thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Alec, do you want to? Whenever I feel like It's Always Sunny is something we talk about, just like when we're talking about shows a lot. Do you want to talk about the fact that like Charlie becomes dumb?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So Charlie over the seasons definitely becomes like illiterate and stupid. Like in the first season, he's just kind of a regular guy, but as the seasons go on, he becomes illiterate. He starts being able to spell. He does that, and it's like a joke that just kind of like comes up in the podcast. In the It's Always Sunny podcast, they talk about this, and Dennis or Glenn is always the one that's like, "Is this going too far?" And everyone's like, "No, this is hilarious." But it does keep pushing Charlie to get stupider and stupider and stupider until he is just kind of like, you know. I mean, and you could say it's because he's huffing paint all the time, which is
I will disagree that like he doesn't start off stupid. He has the map where in the gang gets held hostage when Frank's in the air ducts, and he has a map, and Frank reads it and he's like, "Oh, Charlie, you dumb son of a bitch," or something like that.
What season is that in? Is
that's season 2?
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I feel like that's season 3.
It might be.
I know at least from season 1 specifically. Season 1, he's not that bad, and then like he very quickly into season 2 or season 3.
So that's what I was
going
to ask. Is do you think it starts in season 2, and do you think that Mr. DeVito had any effect on that?
I think the writers probably had an effect on it. And I think you're right, because like definitely the map is like a first initial like really stupid, and also when he runs for office, when he's like reading and Charlie is like reading along. So do. But I think maybe Danny does. Maybe like that dynamic adds to it, like the kind of squalor and the filth.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So okay, this is something I've thought about. When is that scene when he says squalor? When that first time when he said, "I used to live in squalor."
Was 4?
No, it's episode 1. It's the first episode of season 1. It's
of season 2.
Of season 2, yeah, the first episode of season 2.
Okay.
Because they go to the strip club, they bring back the 2 girls, and then they do this, and they get kicked out. And the next morning, he wakes him up outside. Charlie's outside, and he's like, "I used to live like this in filth and squalor, and I want to be back in it."
Okay, yeah. So it's like from the very beginning. That's like for some reason I thought that was a little bit later in the season.
We started with episode 3, but then we ended up watching like half of the season last night.
Yeah, because like actually one thing that they did in season 2 that they don't really do too much as it goes on is having kind of like a continuing storyline across it. Like they have,
there is the one where they like go to the hospital, and then the beginning of the next episode, they're still in their cast and trying to get them off.
Yeah, and then they get like community service for throwing the shit into the thing, and then.
So one thing I've thought about, this is just different, but like I know that they've talked about how, like I've seen videos where they've talked about how like they decided for it to be in Philadelphia just like because the network told them like, oh, let's pick a big city for it to be in. Do you know why they chose It's Always Sunny? Like, is that referencing something? Or?
Do you want to go, Maddie? Or it looked like you were gonna say something. Okay, sorry. I just didn't want to cut you off.
Isn't it a reference to like another show?
No. So what it is that it's a reference to some song. I can't remember what. But they say it's like It's Always Sunny on television or something like that.
It's always raining in Sanford.
Maybe something like that. But originally when they were like doing like these kind of short pilots things like home videos, they were calling it It's Always Sunny on television, which was just kind of a reference to they were out of work actors. And they was kind of making fun of that. And then they had to move it somewhere. And Rob is from Philadelphia. And so they decided to move to Philadelphia. And they just could not figure out a better name. There were different names like Jerks and stuff like that. But like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia just was the one that they kind of had.
It's such a
never
good
changed.
name. Yeah, it's funny that they came up with that.
No, it's like only a good name in retrospect. It's like absolutely not a good name like initially. But like once you know the show, it's like this is now a good name.
Yeah, could you imagine anything else?
As someone who I think I saw you watching it before. For anyone who doesn't know, Alec is my older brother. So I think I saw you watching it before. And I just remember seeing, like, I didn't watch the show. I just remember seeing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And that sounds like a kind of cool show to me.
Yeah.
I found the show through Tumblr, like just through screen caps on Tumblr. And then it would just say, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and season and episode at that, as the caption.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's a cool name. And started watching it because the screen caps were funny. And it had a good name. And I liked it.
That's a good point. I think that I saw a lot of it like visuals, and so like they have like the kind of It's Always Sunny, like the font where it's kind of like falling apart and stuff,
right?
Or like they have like the promo images where it's like just their heads that are rolling, which I think was from like season 3 or 4, and so they did a good job of like integrating the kind of the humor and the vibe into the marketing in that way.
Sorry, I thought you were just gonna say it. How did you? We should all talk about this. How did you start watching It's Always Sunny?
I don't remember exactly, but I guess there's 2 things that I remember. I was on a forum. I was on a forum in like 2008, 2009 for a few years called Cobalt and Calcium. It was a Coheed and Cambria fan forum, and I met a lot of really cool people in there. And they had like they had like different threads for different shows, and It's Always Sunny was on there, and people were talking about it. So I think I heard about it there, and like I had a friend on it that like specifically was recommending it. But the other thing that I really remember is I watched an interview with the band The Fall of Troy, and their drummer, Andrew, in the middle of it, he's like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the best show on television. And I was like, well, fuck. Okay,
That's
now I gotta
sick.
watch it.
Yeah, I didn't know
And
that.
so after that, I was like, okay, I gotta check it out. And I fell in love with it.
Emily, do you have a...
I think I was exposed to it first when my ex-husband was watching it. And I remember not feeling like super interested in it right away. Like I kind of had an aversion at the time to like the chaotic nature of the show.
Yeah.
And really I've come around to it like in recent years, maybe in the last 3 or so years. So I'm kind of new.
You got to work through the trauma of your ex-husband first, I guess, before
Yeah.
you can enjoy it.
That
Right,
takes some
yeah.
time, y'all.
Yeah.
Do you have a story?
Yeah, so I was, I remember exactly where I saw it for the first time. I was at my grandma's house. We had just replaced her really ugly laminate floors with like a nice click together. My mom's ex-husband had done it. And so we had moved all of our shit back into the house. And so while we were kind of moving things around, I was a fucking little kid, so I wasn't going to move anything actually, right? But we got my TV back in. It's a green Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
And so I turn on the TV and it's like just in the middle of the fucking floor at my grandma's house because like they're still moving big furniture around and shit. And so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm fucking fat and lazy and a little boy, so I'm gonna watch TV instead because we didn't like pull out my PlayStation yet or whatever. So I was just like cycling through channels and eventually just came to that and they were all yelling and I was like, oh cool, I'll just watch this. It reminded me so close to my own home life anyway. I was like, perfect, this is great. Yeah.
That is the closest to a Patrick story I've ever heard. Just the amount of detail that you just threw in there, and it's from your childhood. It's like
So Patrick could have told that exact same story. I would have been like, yep.
yeah.
No, so the thing about me is that my childhood is very much the way that Patrick remembers funny things that people say. My entire childhood is exactly that, to the exact fucking detail, minus maybe like the
Wow.
Wait, so do you have a really, really good memory of your childhood too?
yeah,
then?
100%.
That's
I
crazy.
remember my first birthday.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, Patrick,
Wow.
you just got shown up. Patrick's always
Damn.
like, I can remember my second birthday.
Yeah.
You can remember your first
Yeah,
birthday?
yeah. So here's the thing: the only reason I remember it is because of the amount of conflict that happened between me and a kid that was there that wasn't invited. It's the
Fuck that
only
kid.
reason anything stuck is that it was like my first like fight.
You remember his name?
Fuck no. I don't think I was even talking.
Who invited him?
What happened?
Who invited him? Why?
Well, it was at Fiesta Fun. So it's not like it was a private birthday. It's not like we didn't have the fucking money to rent out Fiesta Fun, right? It was like we just brought a cake and put it on
Right.
where one of the
Yeah.
tables you could sit at. So it wasn't like a private event, whatever.
It's a first birthday. Like,
It's not fucking worth whatever
Like
it could have
everyone
been,
except
right?
for you doesn't remember it.
Yeah, right. Dude,
They're
honestly.
randomly the only person who remembers it.
Yeah.
They got cheaped out at Fiesta
Yeah,
Fun.
no. So the reason that I remember it specifically is because of one kid like getting just like in my way, and I knew that like whereas I didn't understand it was my birthday or that it was like I was able to grasp that like it was about me and that like I was special for that minute because it was like everyone is talking to me, everyone is like whatever, I have like a cake and shit, and so I knew that it was like my shit. So when like some kid was like in the way, I was like, fuck that, dude.
That's my cake.
Yeah, this is my fucking playground. This is my ball pit or whatever the fuck it was. And then on that same birthday too, I did like a rope, like they had the like rope swing zip line thing there. And my dad had taken me on, or maybe it wasn't my dad. It might have been just my mom. I think my dad was there. And I'd like fallen off or something.
So the first things you remember are like animosity and then pain.
I guess, yeah, in a way. Well, but it's like
Yeah.
also around celebration. So I think that it's cushioned, at least in my subconscious, that it's like it was a time of celebration.
Yeah, right. Those things happened while you were happy.
It was like an overwhelmingly positive thing.
That's
But
pretty fun.
Interesting.
yeah.
Patrick, do you want to talk about how you found It's Always Sunny and then your second birthday?
You know what? I would be happy to.
I would love that too, man.
So I think I actually have a pretty similar story to Emily, actually, where the first time I saw
Ex-husband
It's Always
introduced you
Sunny.
to it?
Eemily's ex-husband.
No, he actually showed me that too.
And he lied about
we
his
were all
age. It was
buddies back
weird.
in the day. I've also lied about my age, so
Yeah, he was with Jason Mraz.
Jason Mraz showed you It's Always Sunny? Okay, Patrick, go on.
I mean, nothing that I say is going to be as good as that. So I knew some of my older brothers liked It's Always Sunny, and they've always had good taste in things. I've gotten into a lot of bands because of them. So I was like, okay, this show must be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I think I was maybe a little too young. It was probably like one of the first years of high school, and I also made the mistake of watching the first season. Maybe not a mistake, but like I watched the first season and I didn't like just love it. I think it was a combination of the first season being kind of different from the rest of the show, and also I think I maybe was also a little too young to like really appreciate the humor of the show.
I think that's fair.
Well, it gets better.
I have a
Right.
question, and then a theory.
Yeah.
When did you guys start like actually thinking Always Sunny was funny? Like if you started from the beginning and started watching it, at what point did you think it was actually a funny show?
Ooh.
I like watched a smattering of episodes, and it wasn't in like a specific order, and I don't think it's ever been that way for me. Like maybe like we'll explore like a season, but I don't know. I think I had an aversion to it because I grew up in a home where there was lots of yelling and chaos, and I rejected that, like even back like earlier, and so that reminded me of that, and so maybe healing my inner child is when I started.
I think I may have downloaded them, but what I really remember is that I actually bought seasons 1 through 4 on DVD, like the DVD box sets, basically, from like a pawn shop. I lived right by a pawn shop. And
You didn't find it in like an abandoned Burger King or something?
No, but I did find Gone with the Wind in an abandoned Burger King.
What about the Tony Hawk game?
A Tony Hawk game? I found that too.
Yeah.
But I bought the 1 through 4, and actually 1 and 2 are on the same box set, and then 3's 1 and then 4's 1, I think. And I was working. Actually, this ties in really well. I was working at a residential treatment center.
Ties in really well.
I was working overnights, and so I would just like rent movies or buy movies, and I would just watch. I had to stay up all night. That's where I wrote a lot, and I read Infinite Jest, which is not like a great, but
So you've read Infinite Jest?
This was Alex's libertarian phase. We've all been through it.
We can talk about Infinite Jest if you want to, but it's not something I would recommend. But I think there's a lot of really good stuff in that. But
I guess kind of like Jordan Peterson in a way too, then, right?
I mean, I like it. I like his suits. I'm just kidding.
You're just jesting, and it's infinite. Oh my god!
But I watched, we watched a lot of. I watched Always Sunny episodes, and I watched a bunch of the bloopers and the behind the scenes and stuff for seasons 1 through 4. I really was like, I loved that. And then what we would do is we'd hang out with the kids, and we'd have like a room where we'd watch movies and stuff, and we'd go down there and they'd watch like different like Disney movies or whatever. And one time
How old, what was the age
oh yeah,
range?
so the kids are like anywhere from between like 13 to 17. They're like at-risk youth. But this was like a really kind of like what they call like a step up or a step down program. Like they've been in wilderness program and then they come to this one, and it was a performing arts one, so they had like music and they had theater and stuff. So it was kids that were pretty easy. They were pretty chill, but they kind of like they had problems with their parents, which everyone does, and they had maybe some like drug usage that their parents didn't agree with, and all their parents are rich.
And for anyone who doesn't know, like St. George and like Utah in general is
It's a
big
hot
for
spot.
like recovery centers. So like
It's because
There's like a documentary coming out about like how problematic that is.
Paris
to
Hilton
ship
released
your
her
child
documentary about wilderness camp here.
Well, I mean, even me and fucking Patrick, one of our buddies, dude. We watched it happen to him too, and he completely changed into a person that was unrecognizable.
Really?
Yeah.
It was absolutely. He like started getting super into like fishing. That was like all he wanted to do. He just wanted to go fishing.
Is that
It was kind of crazy.
thing?
Well, I think that like he was just a normal like punk ass fucking middle school kid, right? Like is I guess maybe it's I don't know normal-ish, right? Like we were like in a band together. He was our drummer, and he was like loud. He probably had like ADD or something, right?
Yeah.
But
because I think he was definitely like he had some really crazy like temper issues and like mood swings and shit, and I think that was the part that his parents just didn't really know how to handle. But yeah, he wasn't like I don't know, he wasn't like super into drugs or anything. He was just kind of like an erratic kid.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been to treatment, and like normal treatment, like there's people who go there who need it and whatever. That's a mixed bag and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I know one person who's gone to wilderness treatment, and it's because she snuck out of her parents' house to go to a Miley Cyrus concert. So
Right.
no one goes to wilderness treatment because of normal reasons. Like, firstly, you have to be
Yeah.
insanely rich to do that.
Yeah.
And no normal person is going to think, I'm going to stick my kid in the wild. Like, that is some essentially child
Well,
abuse.
our buddy went because his parents caught him watching porn.
Oh my
Right, but
God.
you see what I mean? Like, real stuff. You
Can't
don't
watch
send kids
porn
there
in
who actually
nature.
need stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, I think that like my experience is that maybe like 15% of kids got better, 15% of kids got worse, and the other 70% were like basically
The same.
it was just basically, hanging out and not living where you were and whatever.
Well, and the thing is, like, I mean, no offense to you, but like, you're not equipped to be working in a job like that.
No,
you know what
like
I mean?
it's
And, like,
really poorly structured, and they do
and
like
they're not
really
paying
they're
enough
not
to
good
get
at
anyone who
training.
is qualified.
I was making like $9 an hour.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was not good. But to wrap this up,
Yeah, that's always something.
we were hanging out, and it was like a Saturday or something, and so we like went to watch a movie, and the kids want to watch It's Always Sunny, and I'm like, I love this show. So
Yeah, thank God.
So we turn it on, and and I was like, okay, well, I gotta choose an episode that's like not too crazy. So I was like, well, I'll choose Dennis and Dee Go on Welfare. Like I remember this one being funny, and I remember like the welfare stuff. And I forgot that it's like a major storyline is them getting addicted to crack. And so I'm showing all of these like kids in recovery,
At-risk youth.
yeah, at-risk youth, like that. And to a large extent, it's like a cautionary tale, I guess, if you want to read it that way. But like I'm sure that the other people there were like the other mentors were like, what the fuck is he showing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, not to bring up treatment again, but when I was in treatment, we watched Pulp Fiction, which, if you guys don't know,
fuck.
there's a scene where they
Heroin.
in depth throw it show like in a way
romanticized
that, like I've
almost.
never but like I can imagine if you're someone who does that. No, like okay, it's all that stuff is all nonsense. They're not like there's good parts about it, but like they're not hiring people who are qualified. The people who run it aren't qualified. It's a shit show.
Well, it's a cash grab, right? I mean,
Exactly.
But most treatment, not to get really crazy right now, it really isn't about fixing people, right? It really isn't. It's about satiating the problem for now. It's about getting it out of your fucking parents' hands, right? Like, cool, give us your money and we'll babysit your kids. Like, it's really more what it is.
exactly.
Yeah, it's complicated because you have like a lot of people that actually do like give a shit that like are kind of put in a weird position of power, like where like
Like yourself.
exactly myself.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to help kids, but also like it's not like I had like a ton of like I'd smoked a bunch, but it's not like I had a ton of experience with stuff.
Yeah.
And you're put in these weird situations of like power dynamics and like kids trying to test power dynamics and see what they can get away with, and then you're like, do I have to like restrain this kid, like because he kind of crossed the line, but like clearly he didn't like do anything,
Yeah.
but like he's kept doing it, and like you get all this sort of stuff, and you also get a lot of like therapists that are legitimately trying to do good, that they're also in like these systems where it's like these kids do not give a shit, like, and maybe they shouldn't, maybe they should, but and therapy in general is really difficult, and treatment in general is really difficult to do adequately.
Sure.
And so you kind of have all these different forces going together, and
Especially when there's profit included, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
the thing is
yeah.
it's like the amount of like the majority of like the counselors that you have when you're in treatment are people who were in treatment who went and got their stuff.
lot
which,
of them,
like
a lot of them,
that
yeah.
helps, but like also like I don't know. Anyways,
yeah. But the point of this is that you should show kids that are having drug problems episodes about doing crack.
yeah. Perfect.
Maybe
Shane, do you
maybe
wanna
think
talk about-
twice before you have kids too.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to talk
yeah.
about when you started liking Sony?
I would love to. So, I technically haven't started. I've never watched the show on purpose until the last night, pretty much.
Okay.
And I think that there was things that I just like couldn't get past with that episode to like be like, I'm gonna watch more. I think that it being old is really tough for me. I have this like weird fucking block where like I hate old shit. I hate old music. I hate old
comedy is hard when it's old.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, like I said, there's some stuff in there that we don't have to, quote, but there's like some really fucking dated shit.
They
that's,
say
like,
the R
it's
word a few
insane
times.
to see, right? And it was like of the times, and that was again back to the whole like it being really immediately dated. It was really interesting. I do like the idea though, like I'm sure it's something that's kind of been carried through. Like, this is my first time really watching it on purpose, and I think that the idea of like pushing funny situations and seeing where like how far you could take it like is exciting, and I do think that's cool, right? And like I think that if it was on, I would for sure watch it, but I don't know that like I would continue to go out and seek that show to watch that show. I mean, I have Hulu, so like I could go watch it.
Yeah. Patrick, I know that you kind of like haven't really watched it as much either, and we're kind of in the middle of a story when we tangented there. What's your kind of like? Have you watched it very much, and like, do you like it?
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing that like I do like when it's on. I like the general. I feel like it kind of has the same thing as Trailer Park Boys going on a little bit, where none of the people are necessarily good. You're not supposed to really. They're not like making jokes as much as they're just being shitty people, and just them being themselves is kind of the thing.
Right.
But it's not just like shock and like, you know, it's not just about like, look how grotesque these people are and look how like terrible. It's
no,
like,
because they always like get their comeuppance.
They do.
Right. So I think that's part of what justifies it. Is it shows you someone who's really bad. And it's kind of like a, what's the term? You literally just said it, like a cautionary thing. And I have always liked that. Like, I like it a lot in Trailer Park Boys. I feel like a lot of The Office is like that in the early seasons, like with Michael Scott. So that's something that I've always liked, and I do like Always Sunny. And I don't know what it is, but it's kind of the same thing as Shane a little bit, where like it's just never really grabbed me for some reason, but I like it when it's on.
Yeah.
And Aaron used to like love it. It was like Aaron's show for a long time. So I've seen a bunch of it, and I couldn't really tell you like what episode of what season anything is, but when people bring up episodes, it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
So like I've seen a lot of the show. I've just never really like watched it voluntarily.
Yeah, I guess I thought that you were. I guess it's Aaron who was watching it all the time. I thought that you were really into It's Always Sunny too. That's interesting.
No, I mean I like it, but no, it was Aaron and Connor. They both really fucking
Autumn
loved
is also
that
super
show.
into it.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but It's Always Sunny. The first time I ever saw it was just people screaming at each other. That's the funniest thing I can imagine. But it's interesting that you compare it to Trailer Park Boys, because that's a show that like I didn't get like for the first like whenever anyone would put it on.
Me neither.
Like, I don't know. But like
Me neither.
I kind of started getting it at one point, but really just like in the last week, me and Maddie have started watching it again, and it's way funnier now than it ever has been to me. So, anyways, it's interesting that you say that with It's Always Sunny, because it's kind of backwards for me.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with me for Trailer Park Boys too. It took me a long time to come around to that show, and I think once it clicked in my head that there's not any like jokes, there's no like setup and punchlines, like it would actually be really hard for you to find like a traditional joke in Trailer Park Boys. That is not what they go for at all. Yeah. And I feel like it just took a while for me to realize that, and then once I did, I loved it. It's probably the show that I've rewatched the most.
One thing that's funny is because me and Maddie have been watching it, like I said, and leading up to she was excited to watch the ravioli scene, right? Because that's like one of the best ones, and it's funny because like you said,
that's my bio on like Twitter
right.
and Instagram.
Yeah.
Like you said, like there's not like a lot of setup and punchline in the way that like that scene happens, and it's really funny. But if you're watching what happens right before it, like it never stops. The joke starts like 10 minutes before that scene happens is when the ravioli thing happens, and it's not unfunny until that happens, and then after that happens, it's just like they're not making jokes. It's just a bunch of crazy stuff that's happening that's really funny the entire time.
There's so many
right.
times
Yeah.
where
I think it's really unique in that way. And I think Trailer Park Boys does a really good job of sort of masquerading as being stupid when I think it's actually fucking genius, dude. Mm-hmm. And I think Always Sunny kind of does the same thing, but I think it's a little more obvious what Always Sunny is going for, because the people are just so overtly terrible.
Yeah.
Whereas in Trailer Park Boys, they're not necessarily bad people, they're just criminals, and they're fucking stupid. It's like Ed, and Eddie, but they're adults and Canadian.
Exactly.
What were you saying, Maddie?
There's a lot of jokes in Trailer Park Boys that I won't laugh at initially, but like 5 seconds later, after it settles in, I'll start laughing at it because the jokes happen so subtly. They're very like normal interactions that are happening,
Yeah.
and then you just like you think about it, and it's like, wait a second. That's actually really crazy that they just acted like that.
Right, so the
Right.
one that happened the other day. So, this is in the middle of the scene. So it cuts over to Ricky, and he's pulling piss jugs out of his trunk, and he's throwing them up onto the top of what's the assistant trailer park's name?
Leahy?
Yeah, or no,
Randy?
Yeah, Randy's house, and Randy walks up and goes. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And Ricky like stances up like he's about to fight him, and then he's like, "I'm not gonna fight you." And we both watched that and we're like, "What?" And then just started dying. Just the fact that he just stances up right then is so good.
Well, it's kind of it's funny because like in the context of the scene it doesn't make sense, but it's also funny in a different way because if you understand like the context of the show, Randy is always trying to fight people, and so when he comes up to you all aggressively like that, it makes sense for Ricky to immediately just like square up, and it's funny on two different levels, and it's just I've never seen another show where the writers and actors just understand their characters so well to the point that they don't even really write jokes. They're kind of just being themselves, and that's the whole point, and it's just so fucking funny.
Well, and also though, like they're like half of the actors on that show are really bad actors, and I almost think that kind of makes it funnier because it like reminds you of like how low quality the show is. Like Julian like is like 50-50. Sometimes he's really good, and sometimes it's just like that's the performance you turned in. But that almost makes it funnier sometimes. I don't know. Like it's a crazy show.
Well, I think that we should have a Trailer Park Boys episode at some point where we watch
We
this.
should, yeah.
So I don't want to get too sidetracked on that.
Okay, I got something. I have a very big crush on Charlie Day.
Yeah.
I have a very big crush on him.
Yeah, definitely.
He's such a good actor.
When I first watched it, I was like, I want to be Charlie's friend. Like,
I could settle for friend.
I want to hang out with that guy.
My favorite line in the whole series is so I was walking along along the street, and I see a perfect pile of dog shit. So of course I step in it, and they're all like, "Wait, you meant to step in it?" And he's like, "No." Yeah, that's
good. That's really
so
good.
I like how is it Danny's character and someone else, they're like, we understand the plight of the worker in this episode.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, the working man. Respect is the name of the game. Respect is number one. Danny's like, all right, let's go get some slaves. Like actually what I think It's Always Sunny does really well are these setup and payoffs. And I think that is a specific really good setup and payoff where it's like these underhanded ones where like they're kind of leading towards something and then they get you. And one other really good one that happens in this is after Dennis and Dee wake up and they've like they missed their appointment by an hour and a day, and they're like, we have this appointment, and they're like, okay, we'll just set up another appointment, do that. And she like calls and does it, and then immediately they're buying crack again. Like that's such a good turnaround, and it's such a good like display of just I don't know, like again setting up and paying off.
There's
Sorry,
a shot that I really love in this one, and it's like the camera is at this corner of a building, and Dee is on one side of the corner, and Dennis is on the other side, and there's like a dog eating something, but he wants to be a veterinarian, and he like just like get out of here. Yeah,
she's like, Dennis, when you're a vet, will you buy me new headshots? And he's like, get out of here, you piece of shit. To the dog.
Something interesting, just you talking about like the payoff and the setup, like that almost applies to their title sequence too, right? In the way of like they have a setup and then the joke is the title sequence.
Yes, this is actually one of the first major ones where like the joke of Dennis and Dee go on welfare is like a very prominent joke
because of what just happened.
Exactly, yeah.
Which I think is interesting because like a lot of the shows that I watch have cold opens, but none of them play on the title sequence. Like it's kind of like an out of the box thing to do, to think about like you're not only cold open, but then the cold open jokes. Yeah, go ahead.
That's it. I just said it's really smart.
Yeah. Well, the first season they actually jumps to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and then the episode title, but they switched in the second season, and they do a lot of those jokes, and this is definitely one of the first ones that really hits. One of my favorite just Always Sunny scenes, actually, that like I think it might have been one of the first ones I saw that really made me fall in love with the show, is just the entire interaction that they have at the welfare store.
Store?
The welfare store.
Yeah. So that specifically, where
welfare
it's like,
store.
all right, let's just say what it is. This is just an awkward interaction between friends at the welfare store. Like, fuck, that's such a good line. And another really good line in that, and I'm gonna kind of use their rephrasing that they did, which is like Dennis and Dee walk up to the counter and they're like, "Hello, I'm a recovering crack addict. This is my donkey-brained sister. We'd like some welfare, please."
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, and you know,
You're not quite sure why she puts the helmet on at the very beginning. Of
later
that.
boners.
Yeah.
Gloves on, yeah. So confident. And their performance as shitheads is just like, I think, really good throughout the whole thing. Like, you know, showing them trying to like go and like, you know, like actually having them both reconvene there in order to get slaves for one of them and to get welfare for the other one is really funny.
Oh, just the shots of them in the limousine with the hookers, and they've got like Monopoly dude top hats on.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I mean,
They
it's like
really took that all the way.
it's really like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Right. In that, like,
Yeah.
what like a
Right.
stupid person thinks is fancy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And then they roll up the window when they like pull up on Dee and Dennis, and is it Charlie or
He like rolls up.
he's
Yeah.
like, we're done here.
He's like, "Are you guys holding what? Money?" And he just like rolls up the window. Yeah. You know, they definitely get into kind of like offensive-esque, like adjacent territory. But one thing that's really interesting with that is when they enter the welfare store, they're talking about getting slaves. I know, it's so fucking good. The welfare store. They're talking about getting slaves, and he's like, "No, dude, it wasn't just black people. It was the Irish and the Italians. Like, Italian slaves just sounds funny for some reason, but that's probably real." And but there's this thing that they do where like the characters are like aware of the climate and like kind of what you can and cannot say, but are still pieces of shit. Like they're not shitty in the way that like the kind of social problem that they're talking about is shitty. They're like trying to like dance around it, but they're still being shitty in like dancing around it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it really comes through as like it works really well as like arrogance almost, right? The idea of like, oh, we're gonna go to the welfare store, right?
Yeah.
Like I think like even that terminology, like I think perfectly kind of like frames out like what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah.
Specific to this episode and like what these characters view it as kind of, right? And so it is funny to have Mac then be like, hey man, like that's not what the fuck this is, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things for me that was really like I think the hardest to watch was maybe the arrogance specifically to like watch people like, oh, we can $400 a week, that's fucking awesome, right?
Yeah. It's more than we make at the bar.
Yeah, right. And like in the reality for most people is that that's not what would actually happen.
Yeah.
So I think the technicality of that was really frustrating for me. But then to like see them really just like
And just,
fucking
like-
blow it, it's like, okay, yeah, right. That's like what the fuck this is supposed to be.
Yeah, and like decide like they're gonna get on welfare by like they're gonna be a crack addict and like my donkey brain sister, and they
Yeah.
think that they can just like kind of get away with it by her acting like that.
Yeah.
And then they decide like the idea that they're going to actually do crack in order to like get it is just such a arrogant thing to do.
Right.
And doesn't like the $400 is more than we get at the bar kind of imply that they would be they'd be able to get on welfare anyways because they don't make enough money?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they just
It's
lie.
kind of like it's a little bit making fun of people who have a like pride is getting in the way of them actually taking advantage of government assistance. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's a big thing in the real world. That absolutely is
Yeah,
a
it
huge thing
is.
for a lot of people.
It
That
is.
like there's a massive amount of pride. You have to like let it go in order to do shit like that.
Well,
Yeah.
a major thing that they like Mac when he's ranting towards them when they're sitting on the stoop. Which, by the way, when they're sitting on the stoop singing Biz Markie, like
Oh,
holy shit, what a
yeah.
good scene. Yeah. But when Mac's ranting towards them, he actually mentions that they're like these like upper class like entire blah blah blah. And something that they play with a lot is the fact that they don't really show it too much in this episode, but definitely in these other episodes in this season when they're establishing Frank, is that Dennis and Dee are from like a really like wealthy background, like
Right.
and I think.
This is when they established
Yeah,
that?
they established it in
Oh,
like
interesting.
in like the first few episodes of this season because it's when Mac bangs Dennis's mom and they go there and like it's this super nice house and they kind of talk about like how Frank was in Vietnam but he was like selling something, he was like doing business ventures or like owning a sweatshop, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like they actually do that where they have like this like kind of really wealthy two like privileged siblings and then they have Mac and Charlie that come from like really
Squalor.
like
I was gonna say
And
that
filth.
it's interesting because I mean obviously what happens in every single episode is some of them team up and then some of the other ones team up and like it's interesting that they introduce that because that introduces like obviously like the class line that they can split upon, right? Along with I was trying to actually just barely while you were talking I was thinking about this beforehand. How does D pair with Mac in most episodes where they pair up? Do they pair up very often?
they do
Is
pair
that
up
just
every now and again.
Sometimes
Out
I
of
like
ignorance?
seeing it when
I'm
it
trying to think of
happens.
one where they do.
I think a lot of the time they like do it out of to spite Dennis. Like Dennis usually pisses them off and they're like, going to go get back at him.
Well, one of these episodes in this season is it's the gang gives back and they like to teach a basketball team and the three of them go there. It's Dennis, D, and Mac, and Dennis and Mac are fighting when they walk in and the guy's like, you guys are going to teach a basketball team. He's like, okay, well we're going to be on the same team. He's like, I'm going to split you guys up. And so Mac and D end up being on a team and they have like this kind of like back and forth about who's the head coach.
She starts dressing in like these like monochromatic suits and stuff.
Yeah,
It's so
pantsuit.
good, yeah.
Looking like a banana boy.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking to your point of where you're saying like people that are maybe in need of welfare are not using it. Mac is saying people like he's from a background that absolutely he should probably qualify for it.
Right.
And he's saying you don't do it. And then these people are totally just like arrogant and like they're going to use whatever sort of subsidies are there.
But I think it really drives that home the whole time. It's
just
just
like-
the arrogance is what is fueling everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
And like the actual, rich people are like, what's his name? Like Frank that's trying to get slaves where like
Right.
what they think of as rich people is the Monopoly guy, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny. Like when they were writing this, they in their wildest dreams 16 years from now some people in St. George, Utah would be analyzing the class dynamics of the show.
Yeah, the socioeconomic.
It was
You're
maybe a
welcome,
little
Rob,
woke
at
for
Michael
its
Henry.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big,
Right.
a major part of it, right? Is that like even though it is like these kind of shitty people that are doing things, is that the actual dynamics that the creators of the show are putting forth are like aware of these parts,
Right.
right? Which I think is what absolves it of any sort of like kind of shittiness that you might be able to.
Pull from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it makes sense.
You could never make Always Sunny today.
It's because it's already been made.
Yeah, right.
you know?
It's just too sunny.
Something I was thinking is that for good show, like I really like It's Always Sunny, and there's a lot of like times when like it ends, like they like have a line like for example in the first episode, Mac and or the first episode of season 2, Mac and Dennis are deciding that they're going like Charlie got girls because he was in a wheelchair, so they're gonna like get into wheelchairs. And do that.
Oh,
This
that
is
was
like-
such a good
he's like,
episode.
all right, let's get crippled. And it's like, that line is like so funny, but like, it only works in the context of these being shitty people. And when it comes to good show, I want to do kind of lines like that.
Sorry,
but like,
Charlie looking like Lieutenant Dan. Oh, it's so good in that.
yeah, it is so good. But like, I want to do lines like that. But like our characters, I don't want our characters to be totally shitty people. Like I want like part of it to be like they are wholesome and friends and like kind of like each other and there's redeeming qualities.
I want Stuart to be shitty.
You want to be shitty?
Yeah.
You want to be like shitty?
Oh, we
Yeah,
can
well,
do
I've been
that.
trying to
I
work.
wanna
I've
be
been trying
secret
to
shitty.
work on the character, right?
Oh,
so
really?
I have there's this one line.
Wait,
that-
hold on. Let's
Go ahead.
let's
Yeah,
give
absolutely.
some. Stuart is going to be Shane's character, who's like the antithesis to us in future
Eventually,
episodes. Yeah,
one
okay,
day.
Go ahead.
Right. So I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with Stuart exactly, right? And so what I've been able to kind of figure out is like, well, what are the worst parts of my actual personality, right? So one of them, very horny. Number 2, like mansplainy, arrogant in a way, right? But
Yeah.
in really
All right.
niche and specific things. And so
Really technical.
like the best way that I could try to sum up like what I want this character to be is an interaction where maybe 2 characters are gone and it's Stuart and let's say Aqua, right? And so Patrick's gone, Tyler's gone, Aaron's gone, whoever is not around. It's just the 2 of us. And we're having like maybe some sort of real honest conversation or something. And I turn to him and I'm like, hey man, do you ever worry that like maybe you're like you ever like think about like am I wearing too much cologne? Right? And he's gonna say, no, I guess I don't really. And then I turn like to his fucking face and say, well, you should. And then right? And then like our friends come back in.
Yeah.
And that's like the best way I could explain what I want Stuart
Okay.
to be, if that makes sense.
You're like
What
a
was that line
behind
that you
closed
said that
doors
one time?
bully.
We were doing a video chat and like I told some story about something just unprovoked and it was kind of out of place. And you go, oh, thanks, Max. That was really helpful. It's so good.
Yeah, right. Like
no,
that,
so it,
right?
yeah, I can't remember what you said either. But it was just kind of like irrelevant. I don't know if you were like trying to make a joke or I really don't remember what you said at all. But then Shane,
that was when it was
like a pre-production
you
meeting.
thought I was gonna make a joke and then I didn't make a joke when it was like I
Yeah.
was setting it, like it sounded like I was setting up a joke and I was just telling a story.
that was a completely different instance.
We were like
You
talking
haven't
about
been
jokes. We were trying to find a joke for the episode, and Max just out of the blue was like, "Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?" And that
And it
just
fucking-
in the context,
it caught me off guard, dude.
Well,
I was
it was
like,
sexual.
It was
The tone was very sexual until Max said that, and it still was when Max said that.
Right.
So we were
Yep.
all thinking Grand Canyon.
and he asked me specifically.
Innuendo.
And so my first thought, I was like,
Right.
okay, we're in the middle of production. We're fucking riffing and we cannot stop ourselves, right? So I'm fucking, my brain, the wheels are spinning. I'm like, what the fuck is the joke? What the fuck is the joke? What the fuck is the joke, right? And I'm like, yeah, man. And he's like, oh, cool. Yeah, most people from wherever haven't. I'm like, that's it?
yeah.
Okay, let me explain here. I had just gone on a field trip for school to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And then I had texted all my friends, like videos of me being at the Grand Canyon. It was like, oh, check it out. I'm at the Grand Canyon. It's fucking cool. And we went to Bryce and everything too. And then like half of the people who all grew up in St. George, Utah, which is like an hour away from the Grand Canyon, responded. Like everyone who was from here, which like I'm not born here, I like moved here, but everyone who was from here said, oh, I haven't been there, which I just thought was insane. So anyways, while we were talking, this came up randomly because like, it felt like a lull in the conversation. After the fact, I realized it was not, and it was a very pertinent moment that I just
and
ruined.
I'm
but-
so glad you did.
It was just
I'm so
hilarious
glad
because
you
like
decided
I
to.
couldn't even see Shane in the video. I think it was a video call, so I couldn't even see the look on Shane's face and just the silence. I could hear in the silence Shane trying to think of what the joke is going to be. And it was just so fucking funny because I knew exactly where you were going because we had already been
I'd
talking
asked you
about this.
beforehand, yeah.
And so I knew exactly where this was going, and you said it in a spot in the conversation where it really, really sounded like you were about to make a joke. And you asked Shane this question, and I can just hear in the silence Shane thinking about what the fuck you were about to say next, and it's just a normal fucking question.
Dude, no, this
Yeah, man.
feels like it needs to be a bit somehow because that is a question that feels like it could be so many things, but it's actually just
Yeah.
This is just called having Asperger's. I'm sorry, guys. You're making fun of a disabled person right now. I hope you're happy.
Ableism.
oh yeah.
A donkey brains feller.
Yeah, Dr.
But yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about. I think it'd be cool to introduce Stuart
I like
as,
that.
as
I like
that
that
as
idea.
that kind of a
I like
guy.
that idea.
So we had discussed Stuart as being
A friend of
he's
Patrick.
so he's friends of everyone else, and then whenever everyone else is gone, he's super mean to Patrick. But then like for somehow like I was just writing a script for the show, just like a random tester thing.
Yeah.
And I got it flipped where it's like he's good friends with Patrick, but he's mean to everyone else. And
Well, I
so
thought that was gonna be the dynamic.
I think
Oh,
either,
I thought
I think either one really
Patrick's
works.
friend. I think that's what it was.
okay, that's what we thought too. And then Alec, anyways.
I think it would be really funny for Shane or for Stuart to really have it out for me. Just because I feel like I'm not sure if we've really established so far that I am kind of like the most neutral, sort of most well-liked person.
I think in the Night of Living Ted, I think really fucking sold that.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
wasn't
Cool.
if it wasn't
Yeah.
established
You're
before.
super neutered there, dude.
Yeah. Super
So-
Well,
neutered.
so
you're
I
the
do
only
think-
one who isn't trying to eat someone.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it would be funny for Stuart to really have it out for me, like the one person that like there's no real
Deserves
reason to
it the least.
dislike, and he's just fucking so mean to me. I think that would be hilarious.
That's also
Everybody's
just a
best
fun
friend.
dynamic to see the two of you play out, considering your histories
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, that's a good
Canadians,
point.
Yeah, Canadian.
I think there's also a good I think you could still have a character that's like that where it's they're just friends with Patrick. you could have someone else be that kind of character.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you could still do it either way. Like we haven't written anything or like nailed down anything.
The only thing that we have nailed down is that Shane will at some point wear a full gimp outfit and live in a chest and Patrick's
Well, he
room.
was already wearing the
We're
horse.
moving that to Shane.
Well, I figured since Tyler is a character now, you know.
Oh, right.
I
yeah,
think it could
it's
still
hard.
be.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go too far, poo poo pee pee poo poo pee pee. Anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah. Poo poo. Poo. Pee poo pee pee.
Oh my.
Poo pee pee poo. Poo poo.
No, I think you're thinking of the one that goes pee poo pop, pee pee poo poo pop.
Pop.
Pee, pee, poo, pee, poo.
That somehow became a SpongeBob reference. We're robots now.
Really quick, before we go, if we're talking songs, we're talking bangers all day long. You know what I've been singing? Chestnuts roasting on open fire.
A little Christmas vibe.
Just that TikTok video, man. That guy.
Chestnuts is the most sexual
Chestnuts.
of the nuts.
Those are boobs, y'all.
Well, I think it depends on your preference, right? Because for me, it'd be peanuts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chestnuts, sure.
Just admitting you have a piss kink on the first episode on the podcast?
Yeah, sure. Fuck it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're an eclectic group. This this
An
Bumpy
eclectic?
Soup group.
Yeah.
When children
I love
sing,
piss and I have a
That's
thick
actually
cock.
how we
What it
define
is?
ourselves.
Batman
Bumpy Soup,
smelling
an eclectic
and
group.
the Joker getting away, presumably to commit more heinous crimes. It shows like a psychological distrust in our childhood heroes that I think is really troubling. You start to think like maybe Robin did lay an egg.
Podcast is over.
Love you, Patrick. Bye bye.
Hey,
This was
does anyone
good.
have 3 words to name the podcast?
Oh, it's always. What's the sunny thing?
Punny.
Sunny
Or it could be a
something.
Dinas and D going well.
It's always
No.
an infinite jest.
Maybe like the welfare store.
What's the thing that y'all came up with that was like it's always sunny?
Oh,
da-da?
it's always more.
It's
sunny.
always more sunny
Yeah.
in Philadelphia.
That's like not as funny when you like because
Never mind.
It's always sunny day
Okay.
real estate. Isn't there all that?
it's always sunny day real estate.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Not bad.
I thought that didn't Autumn have like a one that like combined all
Yeah,
those?
it was.
Dude. Yes, and then like an actual Twitter account like
This band
stole
fucks.
it from her, and it was fucking hilarious.
No,
also, I've
Go ahead.
also seen from our sleep dealer Twitter, we had that poll for like the wake me up, and then the different options were when September ends, wake me up inside, and before you go.
Yeah.
And I've also seen other meme accounts like completely copy that as well.
That
Like,
one's an easy one. I can see that being
Yeah.
copied.
Sure.
but no, the band one was Godspeed, you black
Empire.
Emperor. I was a sunny day real estate.
Sunny day real estate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
I was always it's always sunny day real estate. I don't know. There's something easy.
Do you want to say that again? Just like all in one thing. I won't say anything.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Godspeed, you black emperor. I was a sunny day real estate.
Yeah.
Really good.
And that is really good. You can extend it with Sunny Day Greeley Estates.
Greeley Estates. Yeah, and I think we did at one point
Yeah,
too.
I think so.
But the original one was just those 3.
Yeah, which is really, really good.
If you know any of those bands, also he was saying Sleep Dealer account posted this. Sleep Dealer was a band that Alec and Patrick were in.
It's true.
Go listen to that. Also Alpha Panda, they were both in.
It's true.
Tyler
listen
was
to
in
that.
it. He was
True.
in
True.
episode 2.
He's
Good
True.
show.
also he's a great guy. My
That's-
sweet little
that's
baby
truth in
boy.
there. So is that the episode title?
What?
Godspeed You Black Empire. I was
Yeah.
a lonely
Yeah.
sunny
Yeah.
day
Definitely.
real
The
estate
first
in
one is like a little
Philadelphia.
binky
Yeah,
baby
in
Biden or
Philadelphia.
something. Yeah,
It
we're
was still in Philadelphia.
We're
Okay, cool.
finding
That's
it.
it. That's it then.
Sweet.
Thanks guys.
keep
Cool.
goodbye.
Thanks so much, Patrick. Thanks everyone for being on here.
Like and subscribe, please.
Yeah.
Should we do plugs? Instagram plugs?
Instagram plugs.
Nah.
Ivory Media Works.
That's what people do on podcasts.
Aqua Supreme.
You want Instagram plug?
Judas Escargot without the T.
Patrick, Instagram plug.
Homogenized soy milk.
So good. Come on. Let's give him a round of applause for that one. Come on. That's really good. I'm so proud of you for
I'm
that.
on private, so if you do find me, you can request and I will consider accepting.
And I'm on
probably won't.
social media I hate hiatus, so not doing it.
What's your name? I'm on social media. I hate hiatus.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's I'm
His social media name is I hate hiatus.
I hate hiatus. I hate
Vibe Destroyer.
Vibe Destroyer. At Vibe Destroyer, baby.
Let's go.
All right, thanks so much.
Shout out Elon Musk. Shout out the Saudi royal
Podcast
family.
is done.
Farewell.
Bang.
Hey.
Bye, buddies.